This is Business Week Armenia, SivilNet's weekly economic digest. Here's what's making headlines in Armenia this week. The California-based software provider ServiceTitan made its debut on the Nasdaq last week, making history as the first Armenian-founded IT company to go public on a major U.S. stock exchange. In its initial public offering in New York, ServiceTitan sold some 8.8 million shares, raising about $625 million and pushing the company's market capitalization to nearly $9 billion. Shares in the company, listed under ticker symbol TTAN, soared 42% on the first day of trading. It marks one of the few times this year that tech companies or venture capital-backed firms have gone public in the United States. Founded by Ara Madesyan and Vahe Kuzoyan in 2012, ServiceTitan provides customer relationship management software to nearly 12,000 customers. In the latest quarter, the company reported a net loss of $47 million on $198.5 million in revenue. In addition to its U.S. headquarters, ServiceTitan operates a large office in Armenia, where the tech sector has long been seen as the country's most dynamic and promising industry. Turnover in Armenia's tech sector reached nearly $1.6 billion last year, representing about 7% of the country's total gross domestic product. In other major business news, Team Group, the owner of one of Armenia's largest telecommunications companies, announced last week it will acquire a controlling stake in Imagine Communications, an Irish internet service provider. In a press release, Team said Brookfield Corporation, the Canadian investment management company that owns Imagine, will retain a minority stake. It did not immediately disclose the terms of the deal. Imagine has about $262.5 million in losses on its books, according to the Irish independent newspaper, which first reported the news. It marks the first time Team has invested in a European Union country, and comes as the company continues efforts to expand outside of Armenia. In its first foreign acquisition last year, Team bought SkyTel, one of Georgia's biggest internet service providers. Team is owned by brothers Alexander and Haik Yesayan, who have long been key players in Armenia's telecommunications sector. It provides internet and digital television services to more than 1 million customers across Armenia. In other telecommunications news, Armenian government regulators issued an operating license last week to Starlink, paving the way for Elon Musk's satellite internet system to launch in the country. Mukhitar Hayrabetyan, Armenia's high-tech industry minister, welcomed the development, writing on Facebook he expects Starlink to begin operating in the country in the coming months. He did not provide any additional details. Starlink is expected to help expand high-speed internet access in remote, rural areas of Armenia. For more on Starlink's potential impact on Armenia's economy and security, you can check out our interview earlier this year with Armen Kharlopyan, who has been helping lead the push for Starlink to come to Armenia. The link is in the video description below. And finally, Armenia's central bank cut interest rates by 25 basis points to 7% last week, as inflation in the country continues to remain well below target levels. Annual consumer price inflation registered 1.4% in November 2024. Core inflation has also remained at low levels, at 0.6% year-over-year in October, the central bank said in a statement. In a separate press release last week, the central bank set its inflation target for next year at 3%, down from 4% this year. It said the move will help reduce volatility in currency markets, boost consumers' purchasing power, and increase Armenia's investment attractiveness. The dual changes to the country's monetary policy come as Armenia appears to be returning to more sustainable levels of economic growth after 3 strong years of expansion, largely fueled by the war in Ukraine. Since Russia launched its full-scale invasion in early 2022, massive inflows of capital and labor have poured into Armenia, and trade between the two countries has soared. On the back of those developments, Armenia's economy expanded by 12.6% in 2022, and by a further 8.3% last year. Those figures are substantially higher than the central bank's 5% estimate of Armenia's long-term sustainable growth. And as always, please follow SivilNet for the latest news and independent reporting from our contributors on the ground here in Armenia.